Peace and love, y'all. It's your brother A.D.V.I.S, and we are here with episode 12 of What's the Word Wednesday season 2. So as we usually do, I'm gonna drop the comments in the comments, the show topics for today, as well as I'm gonna go through, and for a little while I'm gonna post up our logo for the show. But other than that, appreciate y'all for being back for another episode. Shouts out to those who are here and seeing it on Instagram, and for those who will watch it later here and on YouTube. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, all that wonderful mess. But as we're doing this, let's take some time. People come in, and as you're coming in, let me know how you feeling, what's going on, and most of all, what's the word going on around you. But as we got people coming in doing that as well, the topics for today that we're going to be touching on, which is the first one, we're going to be speaking on current events like we usually do. So some updates of what I've seen on things, as well as if y'all have anything, throw them in there. We talk about them as well. Second, we're going to be getting into soul music. Just a topic just speaking on what soul music is, how does it make you feel, and a number of different things when it comes to soul music. And lastly, we're going to be talking about building your ethics and what that entails when you're building your ethics, either as a person, as a group, community, etc. But other than that, y'all, we here. We're going to chill for a little bit before we start the show. And for those who do as well, happy Cinco de Mayo. Have some fun. Be joyful. And be grateful for the moments you have right now. So, shout outs to that Cinco de Mayo. And let me know if it sounds good as well, y'all. So everything is okay, good and set. A breakout through the nation, nuclear fission press, keep degenerated, in dire need of ventilation, across widespread means and ranges, it forms a circle, radius with shapes and geometric signs, constant reminders of distant past on segmented lines, perpendicular rays, on the prime meridian, scorching sun rays hit, as Scotty is beating us, impending doom with meteors are bright, extension level we bent, as the pen ignites to the world's demise. Everybody rise. Lyrical homicidal attempt. Designated words with intent. Showing styles and various content. To make you content. Spinning the wheel as I invent. Judging this case, you get known and content. This is my verbal attempt. Designated words with intent. Showing styles and various content. To make you content. Spinning the wheel as I invent. Judging this case, you get known and content. This is my verbal attempt. Alright, y'all. Y'all coming in. Boom. Let's go ahead, start it with the show song, and we'll get on the road with the current events that we have for today. So once again, you're getting used to it. Follow along with the song. If not, just be along with this period. There's so many different things going on around us. It makes you want to stop and wonder and ask yourself, what's the word, y'all? What's the word? What's the word, y'all? What's the word? What's the word, y'all? What's the word? We tell them like, what's the word? What's the word? What you heard? We gotta know, yeah, what's the word? Once again, y'all, it's your brother A.D.V.I.S, and we are back with episode 12 of What's the Word Wednesdays season 2. And we keeping them moving. So appreciate everyone that comes through and supports, watches the lives, those who watch it live as well as those who watch it later, whether here or on YouTube. Much love to y'all. Grateful for your time. But with all of that, for today, again, our 3 topics. We're going to be going into some current events. Then after current events, we'll speak on soul music. And then lastly, we're going to talk about building your ethics. And we'll round that all together. But with that, let's go ahead and let's jump into these current events for today. So for today's current events, I got a few places to be what we're speaking on. Updates and more information surrounding the shots and the pandemic, as well as updates in technology and also disparities in India, as well as a quick look at the U.S. population when it comes to the birth rate. So I have a few articles here, and that's what we're going to be touching on current events wise. I know there's a lot more to be touched on, but if y'all have anything, please throw it down in the comments, and please let me know how that's looking, how everything is going when it comes to that. So first thing wanted to touch on, we have Dr. Fauci. It's been one of the heads when it came to leading the fight against the whole situation with the pandemic. But here are a few things, and this is from, again, I get my stuff from MSN, NPR, and if I do, I'll also give CNN. But this is information from an MSN article within the health articles, and the title is Dr. Fauci just said 6 words that could end the pandemic. So we're going to go through what those 6 words are, or just key points of what it's speaking on when it comes to these 6 words. So first thing it says in the first slide is that Dr. Fauci said it's like we're at war, and uttered these key words here, which is public health is not a political issue. Public health is what affects all of us. And that's was really one of the issues that's so troublesome for us to get through this whole situation, is that the statement of public health is not a political issue. We can, dive more into those different things, but literally that's the setup when it comes to saying that public health is not an issue. It's not a, let's say, political issue. Excuse me. But there's more. So another segment of words he had said. He also said that it is a societal responsibility to be a part, or be part of the solution. So with his reasoning, he says that, and with this particular outbreak, we have highly efficacious and safe shots, plural, more than one. And we're fortunate enough in this country to have a supply of them, that we can be able to get it to everyone within the country. So we need to do our part, and it's important that we do this not only for our own health, but also for the health of our families, and be a part of the societal responsibility to be the solution, the best solution. But that's the second thing. Third thing Dr. Fauci said is that get your shot and let's get back to quote unquote normal. And the reasoning with that is in the article it still says it really is a significant issue, because the solution to the problem of us getting back to quote unquote normal and getting the number of cases down to a very low level is getting the shots. And it seems almost as a paradox that people who are saying that they want to go back to normal, but they do not want to get it, with all the restrictions, is putting a restriction on the public health community and is preventing them from getting things back to normal, quote unquote. But that's the third one. The fourth one says that, and we spoke about it prior live, is that those who do not get the shots, especially young people and the youth, they can bring more serious harm to others inadvertently. What's going on, brother? Good to see you up in here, my G. What's the word? So when it comes to his fourth point, he's saying that a significant proportion of people who do not want to get the shots are younger people, and what they're doing is that statistically they're putting themselves at a higher risk, as well as putting their families at a much higher risk due to the undesire to get the shots. So just know that was his other point. And his last point, and I'm going to sum all of these up again, he says that Dr. Fauci says that we're in this together, so we need to act like we are. So basically bringing everybody together to say that, yo, if we want to stop the virus when it gets to people and circulating, we all need to do our part into play and seem like we're here together to be able to do it. So just play on the team. So those are all of the points that Dr. Fauci has said when it came to this whole thing of being able to end the pandemic in this particular way. It's saying that that public health is not a political issue, which depends. And I'll elaborate on that in a bit. He says that it's a societal responsibility to be a part of that solution. He also says that get the shot so we can get back to normal, as well as unvaccinated or people who have not gotten the shot, especially young people, have a higher risk, as well as harming others, and that we need to act like we are doing this and we're in it together. Now, once again, take all of these points and everything with a grain of salt. Just know what you want to end up doing it at the end of the day. But when it comes to public health being a political issue, I will retort against that and say that if it wasn't a political issue, we wouldn't be having multiple back and forth changes when it comes to healthcare and such a big push for that. And that's supposed to be for the public and for everyone, which in the next statement, he even says that public health is what affects all of us. So it shouldn't be a political issue, but in the higher up places of people trying to get healthcare and get access to things, it does become one. At least from what I've seen. You can don't quote me on it. You can be the decider on all of that, but that's my point to say against that, is that it, at the end of the day, is a political issue, because if not, we've already would have had a lot of these instated and got it done, whether universal, whatever the particular issue that is, but it is very political. But those are all his points. Y'all got anything else? Throw it in here. Appreciate y'all. We're gonna go on to the next part of the health things now. And following again, we got the guy again, Dr. Fauci, talking about now that when it comes to the shots, that they actually work much better than your natural immunity, or I like to say your natural defense system, to protect you from the virus. So this is what Dr. Fauci is saying, and this is coming from different studies that have been done, which a lot of the stuff is still in trial. So we're still in trial when it comes to testing a lot of these things. But a few points from the article to just speak on, saying that literally, like the article said, is that he says that the shots can do better than nature. It can do better than nature. Do better than nature. Also, it says people who've had prior infections saw their defense system, their immune system response to the virus drastically improve after getting the shot. Next point here says that these findings are a beacon of hope, especially against the different variants around the globe. Or that's the last point, I should say. But the main thing coming out of this article is saying that literally from 2 studies, and there's also 4 studies talking about how superior protection against the variants are from getting these shots. And what's going on with that is saying that literally from those trial runs, they've shown that the tiers of the antibodies that are created, those levels go up to 10 times than just your natural body be able to fend it off. And also you also get another layer of increased protection against the variants, the other different variants. And this can be from either you taking Pfizer, Moderna, at least in the articles. But I'm not going to go too much further into that. Once again, this is on MSN. Speaking on this point right there when it comes to basically the shots being better than your own natural defense system to protect you from the virus. Now, another thing, again, we're still in the health sector of things, and I also want to show a video, or at least play the video. The sound of it is literally, again, it says, Fauci says that studies show people who have gotten the shot have had more protection against these variants. And what I wanted to end up doing is, not this particular one, I'll watch the video, but the main part is saying that there's different studies that were cited. What's going on, Big Sue? What's going on? Good to see you, fam. It says one of the studies that was cited in the publication in late April said that 1 dose of the Pfizer from previous people, or especially getting infections, had a better immune system response against the different variants, either if it's B117, B1351, and other different variants that have been identified. What's the word? That's what I'm talking about. And compared to those who haven't had it yet. So, I already know you came in here, Sue. So I just started speaking on basically right now the health sector again, getting back into the shots, and talking mostly about Dr. Fauci and his different talking points of different variances with it. And the one I'm on right now is saying that those who do get the shot have more protection against variants versus their natural immune system that's built up. So your own natural immunity is not as effective as getting the shots, which also the shots give you an extra boost in immunity against the variants. So that's what this one is here, this article. And this is going off of just one study of what it's saying. It's just only one particular study that was done in late April. So that's all we have to go off on that. And then what I wanted to show, because we can do more of that, but I'll go into it too. So this is also speaking again on the different side effects we've spoken about, but now talking about how to be able to tell the danger when it comes to how bad of your headache is. And there's different 5 signs. They say that it'll show you and let you know that you haven't or your headache is something that you really need to look into. What's going on, Kiki? Good to see you in here. One of them, first thing, is that when you start getting the worst headache in no time flat. So if you get really super fast headache, it's a bit of concern to look in, a red flag. There might be something going on within your body. So definitely to make sure you take cautious note of that. Second thing is of a sign to watch out for, like a really bad headache when it comes to, and this is basically talking about either not only talking about getting the shot, but like just your body in general, how you feeling. It says the nervous system symptoms. So seeing different symptoms such as if there's stroke, just random weakness in arm and body and limbs, not able to move them as great as you can. And also those either being more where states of where you just kind of just having trouble walking. And this is all again stemming from a headache. Another one is changes from motion, which once again on the same lines having to do with if you get dehydrated super fast, whether you're feeling some type of pressure that you need to lay down, all these other different things. It's basically all these, not gonna say only just symptoms, but these signs that you get from your body that you need to watch out for, as well as if you get a very stiff neck, and if you've watched your patterns, deviations from those patterns and being a irregular pattern for yourself. So the main thing when it comes to that is being of those signs and seeing how dangerous or how hard these headaches can cause for you is really honestly trusting your gut and trusting how your body's responding to this stuff, so then you'll know what to end up doing, or if you got a call, to go to the hospital, whatever it may be. But being very cautious of how your headache is coming about when it comes to stuff like this. So that's another one. Now lastly with this health stuff, and I'm going to play a video of it, but in this article it talks about how the shots for the virus might not be a shot after all. And I'm just going to play a video, it's a short clip, and we'll touch on basically what does that mean in short. So let me go ahead, load up the video real quick. I'm just only going to play it, so y'all let me know if I sound good or if you can hear it. But we're going to play the video again. It says that your COVID shot might not be a shot after all. We'll listen to a real small clip.
Despite a rigorous vaccine rollout, variants of the coronavirus are still circulating, not only in the United States, but around the world. Researchers are desperately seeking a solution on what the next generation of vaccines look like, including the race to find a vaccine booster solution. As reported by Como News, Deborah Fuller of UW-Medicine says, a solution to lingering and developing variants of the virus could be to provide a booster to raise your immunity and update it to match the variant. Doctors are anticipating these boosters will be similar to receiving your annual flu shot, and some are even exploring the potential of combining them together. CBS News says booster shots may even come in the form of pills or patches instead of shots. There is a substantial effort underway to discard reliance on needles and syringes for the boosters to be administered, making storage and distribution easier and certainly more cost-effective. A.D.V.I.S.S Technologies claims its self-applied patch is painless and shelf-stable, and additional tests for inhaled doses are underway. Vaccine makers are attempting to tweak the booster dose to address the new variants of the virus, which actually isn't too unusual. Seasonal flu vaccines are regularly altered to address mutations.
So y'all heard that. Hopefully y'all did hear that. What's going on, fam? What's going on, Frosty? Good to see you in here. Good to see you. What's the word, y'all? What's the word? Right. So you heard basically from that video that basically the shots or booster shots they're speaking in particular are going to be seen as annual things, as well as they can be in different forms, whether it's going to be pill, whether it's going to be a patch, or as well as even being inhaled. So just be on the lookout when it comes to that too, and just seeing how that has its effect. As well as the one thing that caught me, and you can say I'm being too cautious or I'm being too extra with it, is at the end they said just like how flu shots, they can be altered and changed when it comes to being administered. So being altered and changed in what particular way though, and for really what other particular reasons. I'm not saying, like I said, not going too far with it, but once again, always be cautious too of the wording that's being used and why it's being used. But other than that, y'all, that's all the news for health. So you can get off of that. Y'all be like, I ain't trying to hear about all that health and everything too. On the other note, technology-wise, we got SpaceX has successfully launched and landed their Starship prototype. So I'm gonna speak a little bit on it. I don't know too much. Like, I go through the articles here and I just give a little quick piece into the articles, because at the end of the day, I'm just giving the word. I'm not saying this is all that there is on it, but just always make sure just to be informed. So, it says SpaceX launches its latest Starship prototype. It did Wednesday evening, sending the methane-fueled rocket up to an altitude of 6 miles. The craft then flipped over on its side and is now going belly flop maneuver, and it plunged back to Earth, righting itself and restarting itself in the engines to stick on target when it came to touchdown. So basically right now it's being able to correct itself when it's going up and being able to go ahead and just start itself. So this is looking very promising for furthermore stuff. And SpaceX, if y'all know, owned by Elon Musk, and doing a lot of stuff space-wise, SpaceX, space journey and everything. But just wanted to share that real quick. No more into the article, but they've successfully launched and landed their Starship prototype with little issues. Now, last thing, because I was gonna talk about our birth rate, or I'll just loosely touch on it, but just know right now that right now our birth rate has fell by 4%. And what's the significance of what happens when your birth rate falls within a country? It is synonymous, or as well as it's linked to also a lower GDP, which means that brings in less money, less workers force, all of that in there. So that's why when you see countries with lower birth rates, it's a big concern, because think of generations to come later and not having a lot of generations being born to replace what's there now. It's a very big issue. But just know that right now it says it's fell by 4% for the U.S. We can talk later more about whatever. Not to say talk later, but that was just something quickly piece on. Now, last set of news. This is how to do some world news, and in particular, this is having to do with the very rising and raging cases that are going on within India. And in this particular case, they're running out of resources when it comes to ventilators and oxygen and being able to bring that stuff out to people. So the article in itself states, and it says that why is India running out of oxygen? And there's been other articles that surfaced with like the burnings and showing that would have to do with people who was catching it and everything else. The inhumanity when it came to stuff like that was going on. Buffet Destroyer in the building. But just wanted to just put that out on people's radar that right now India's getting hit with it the most. I was to say the most, but it's getting hit really hard. And I know, at least from in our particular case, no one is allowed to go over there just right now. But just be mindful of not only for us what's going on in the U.S., but it's also happening globally. So I just wanted to pop that in there. So, send out, love, support, energy out to India as well. When it comes to that, y'all, that's all the news I got for right now. If there's anything more y'all want to throw, please throw it in the comments. I appreciate everyone that's in here. Appreciate the brother Buffet and those who are going to be watching it later as well too. So, other than that, let's jump into the next topic. This is what I really want to speak on too, just because, and I like breaking stuff down. So now, the topic of soul music. Now you're thinking to yourself and you're wondering like, okay, what about soul music? Are you talking about the genre? Are you talking about the particular people within soul music? Or are you talking about just soul music in its totality of everything? In my particular case, yes, I'm talking about the genre. I'm talking about the people. I'm talking about it all in totality, especially how it has not only an effect on you as a person, but in essence, what soul music is and where that a lot of that comes from. So I'm gonna read a little bit from Wikipedia. I know it's not always the most reliable resource, but I'm gonna at least give a little rundown on some of the soul music based off of here. Then I'm gonna speak on my thoughts and perspective on soul music and how impactful it is. And if y'all have anything too, please come in and let's talk about this soul music and just the essence of those words, soul and music, and that together. But from Wikipedia, we got soul music, which often they simply call it soul, and it's a popular music genre that originated in the African American community throughout the United States between the 50s and the early 60s. And it combines different elements from African American gospel music, rhythm and blues, as well as jazz. And soul music has became popular, especially for dancing and listening within the U.S. And some of the record companies and places you will know that is synonymous with soul music and soul in general. You have your Motowns, you have your Atlantics, and another one, Stax, which I really don't know much about Stax, but I can look into it. Especially all of this is happening during the 50s and the 60s. So this is also happening during the time of the Civil Rights Movement, and it became very popular around the world, and it also directly influencing rock music and most of the music in Africa as well. So we'll see. I put a little bit more on here. I'll read one more paragraph and then we'll jump right into this. But it says, according to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, soul is music that arose out of the black experience in America through the transmutation, which basically just transmuting itself, of gospel and rhythm and blues in the form of funky, secular testifying. So catchy rhythms, stressed by hand claps, a lot of body movement, and a lot of that is a really core essence of soul music. Is basically the hand clapping and just really getting your body moving. Other characteristics within soul music is the call and response. So when I say this, y'all say that. As well as the chorus, which that's what I want to talk about too when it comes to this, is the chorus and how tense the vocals can get when it comes to hitting certain pitches, as well as this style also is very impromptu when it adds different things, whether we have our different variations in how the voice goes higher or go lower in different pitches, as well as, again, soul music reflected the black identity, and it stressed the importance of the black culture when it came musically, and this became a newfound consciousness and style of music for black identity. Now, I'm not gonna go so much more into the article, but I wanted to at least give those little pieces there because once again, it's a lot of music that we see nowadays and even beforehand were influenced from soul music, which was influenced from blues, jazz, rhythm. All of that beforehand to create the stuff that we do have now. For even rock and roll in itself was influenced by soul music in different parts and elements. And when people think of the soul music, they think of specifically Motown's and Atlantic Records. So you'll see all these different acts, like if it's the Supremes, if you have the Temptations, you have literally the Spinners, you have, oh my goodness, there's so many great groups within just in the soul genre, as well as just singular people as too. You got Etta James. I mean, I have mine, which is Donny Hathaway, which is my favorite soul singer. Donny Hathaway is in that category too. Roberta Flack. There's so many to keep going off. Like, I throw Stevie Wonder in there too, as well as you got your Ray Charles. It's so many people that you can note during that time. And yes, it's between the 50s and 60s, but this continued on. Even though you gotta throw come on. I was gonna say you gotta say Bobby Brown, but you gotta definitely throw in freaking James Brown. You gotta throw James Brown in that convo as well too. That has such a big influence on that too when it comes to just the soul music. And what's so prominent and so beautiful about soul music is that in the essence of itself, the word soul music is music that speaks to the soul. And when you speak of saying, okay, what is that soul? You know, that soul is literally that's that inner you. That's you being influenced by a particular sound. Because at the end of the day, some of y'all, you can look this up. At the end of the day, we are not this body. We are basically energy, vibration, and frequency. And when it comes to the essence of soul music, and it's speaking on especially the black experience, you feel it when it hits you. To quote Bob Marley as well too, especially when you hear good music, you hear that soul music, when music hits you, you feel no pain. You're able to feel and take on and experience not only the pain that's being sung through the person's voices, or all those beautiful peoples in their voices, but you're also tied to through the rhythm and through the feel. So when we also get back to the essence of the soul in the music, the way that it's even structured, how it's structured now even in hip hop, which has been influenced by it, it's influenced pop, all these different genres. What has been taken and been used too is the idea of the hook chorus besides the verses. And what I always like to end up doing, especially with the hook and the chorus, because that's that call, it can be that call and response part that you give to people when it comes to a song, which is an element within the soul music. It's not only just soul music, but we're speaking on just soul music right now. As well as when you think of a hook and you think of a chorus, what is the main objective to get across to you? The main objective for soul music, especially, or the chorus and the hook, is to grab you, get your attention. It's to make it feel relatable to you, to make you really remember and vibe with a particular song. And the way that I look at this too, especially the word chorus, basically I break it down to that it's the core of us. And the reason why that a chorus hits us so hard, or that's the most memorable part of a chorus, is because of that at the core of us, that's the core of the song too, is coming from the chorus. And if you're able to feel that chorus, you'll feel that core of it within inside of you. And I mean, that's how I like to break down what a chorus is, because basically that's what it does. It gets right to your core and makes you feel it in your soul. When you hear the music, when you hear that particular chorus, that particular verse, or that even particular line that's repeated, it becomes that chant. It becomes that call back and forth response. It's literally to have that engagement, as well as for you, again, to feel it in your soul. So why is soul music so important is not only because of all the influences that came from it, but also the voice that it was able to bring about and create. And through music, people of different cultures, in this particular case, the black culture, was able to express what has been going and happening to them during those time periods, and finding other means and outlets to express that perspective and for them to hear it. Because in certain places, the only way you was being heard, besides you either being in political chairs and higher status of things, is through the entertainment. And that's another beautiful piece about music in itself too, is that you are able to get your message. You're able to put out what you want to put out through your music to have an influence. And at that same point, that's also a very big responsibility, as well as a big power to hold, because through your messaging and how you bring about your music, whatever you want to put out there into the world, it's going to have an effect on someone or something. You may not think it will, but it definitely does. Because once again, at the end of the day, we're not this body. We are literally energy, frequency, and vibration. And what is music in itself without even the soul? It's literally vibration. It's feedback. It's sound. And the way that we get that particular sound sent to us and how we respond to that as being energy, vibration, and frequency, we respond back with the same thing. So that's why it goes deeper within and it really hits you. So you have to be very mindful and careful of what you want to put out in the world when it comes to music. And it can influence so many things. I brought up Bob Marley. Bob Marley literally was super influential where he was from in Jamaica when it came to different elections, when it came to what he spoke on in different places, what he said and the way he moved. And he was just an artist. As a musician, he was within groups. There was nothing else. I mean, there's a lot more you can learn about him. And this is just based off of just the music that he brought. And how literally we have a lot of music icons within history that has had a big influence, if not change, on not just the thought of people, but also different movements. There were the sound or the extra voice to a movement, as well as you do come in contact with a lot of political officials, as well as even presidents. Literally everybody listens to music, but the beauty within with the soul music is it brings that essence of the emotion, and you being able to tap in deeper to if it's super relatable to you, as well as really having you just feel, just through what you hear through the sounds. You either feel the pain, you feel the love, you feel the joy, you feel the anger, you feel the anguish, you feel the anxiety, you feel a lot of these different things from during this times, just from the voice, the sound, and what's being stated within the song, hitting the soul. It just makes you, it feeds the soul. It's just literally that music that holds you right there, and it's just holding you down. You know, on any other day, we have our favorite songs, and we know what our favorite songs do for us to give us a boost, and might able to make us think a lot more, or we might just want to be in a different state or a different emotion when it comes to that song. But soul music in itself it's a beautiful thing. I love soul music. It's a great influencer on especially what hip hop, which is another one of the genres that I love, and it's the leading export when it comes to the US when it comes to music and money. Just music in general. And it just really goes to show you how powerful words behind a sound is when it comes to us as people, as human beings, and how influential people throughout time can be just from what they express and give off. So once again, shout out to Love for soul music. If y'all have anything on soul music and wanting to add different, if it's different people, if you've had different experiences, please throw them down in the comments here and on YouTube. All y'all, we all here together. It's getting it. And really just put a song that really hits you when it came to like soul music. So, and if you're not very familiar with soul music, I will go look up the Motowns. I will go look up the Atlantic records and look at during this time between the 50s and the early 60s and even on into, some people like to say, the golden 70s. I might be, saying it wrong in a particular way, but just during all of those times, and find a song that it just hits you. And like the one I can share with y'all that really hits me when it comes to, once again, soul artists or soul music artists, my favorite being Donny Hathaway, and he has a number of them, but one of the songs that really hit me every time I hear it is the song that he has, and I don't know if it's on his album of the reflection, the something of a man, the extents of a man. I may be wrong, but the song itself is called "Someday We'll All Be Free." And the reason why this song in particular, it hits me so hard, is because of not only what's being said in the messaging, but you feel the emotion, and you feel what is being said coming from the song, talking about holding on even when the world is spinning around, and knowing that right now things may not seem like they should be right now. Just know that someday that you're able to continue moving and pushing, we'll all be free, or you'll be free. And what does that look like? So, and every time I hear Donny Hathaway's voice, it's just, for me, it's very notable. I know it's Donny Hathaway when I hear him, as well as just the core of what he brought and spoke onto. I know there's a lot of other things outside of his musical life that was very tragic, and a number of different things about people, which I'm not going to go into, talk about how there's a lot of people in music that have went through the most, or they feel tortured souls when it comes to music. But that's another topic for another time. But Donny Hathaway, "Someday We'll All Be Free." It's one of those songs for me that hits me. As well as, I will say, I was listening to it today too, is Stevie Wonder's song "Sir Duke." That song hits me every time. Every time I hear it, I get such a big grin and like just a rush of energy from hearing that song. And it talks about music, how music within itself is a universal language that we all understand, which music is sound. And once again, sound to me is a universal language. You're able to feel what people are saying. Even if you don't understand what they're saying, you'll be able to feel it. And that can also have to do with scientifically with mirror neurons and seeing other people do something. You feel it, reading facial expressions, sound, everything else. But Stevie Wonder's "Sir Duke" is another song that it gets me every time I hear it. But other than that, if y'all have anything else of any songs, y'all please put them down, because I really I'm still exploring when it comes to stuff like that. But once again, much love to soul music, what it's brought and what it continues to bring, and the influences that it continues to have on the culture and impact as of today. And just much love to it. Thank you for it. Right. Now, moving into the last topic for today, which we're going to be talking about building your ethics. Now, when it comes to thinking about building your ethics, okay, what do you mean by ethics? What is ethics? So, give you a quick definition again. We know I'm starting to at least be able to give y'all a little bit of some receipts, so I'm just not over here just talking and talking and talking, you know, out of just my brain, always on a free flow. But just give y'all a little something to hold on to. Get some water. But as that is loading, y'all write down in the comments, let me know when you hear the word ethic or ethics, what are the first few words that come to mind? So we got 2 different websites when it comes to it, so y'all keep writing them down. But first, have ethic from Free Dictionary, and it says a set of principles of right conduct, a theory or a system of moral values. So synonymous with, or this very similar to, is a synonym when it comes to morals, moral ethics and values. As well as it is the study of general nature of morals and of the specific moral choices to be made by a person. So a moral philosophy, as well as the rules of standards governing the conduct of a person or the members of a profession. So basically being able to have those particular rules and codes of conduct when it comes to the ethics. What's going on, brother MC Zero in the building, y'all? Right now, brother, we talking about building your ethics. And when you hear the word ethics, what's the first few things that come to mind? Drop them in there, my G. But what's the word to you, brother? So that's the first definition, or the first website for definition. The second one, Webster's, says that ethics is basically the discipline dealing with what is good and bad, and with moral duty and obligation. A set of moral principles. So we getting from ethic is, once again, we got the moral and as well as the values. Is a theory or a system of moral values. The present day, either if it's materialism and different things, as it is a guiding philosophy, as well as it is a consciousness of moral importance forged from conservation ethics. So when we're thinking of ethics, what's going on, brother? Good to see you up in here, Kundan. Good to see you. So when we think about ethics, we think about different morals, we think about different values, we're thinking of different particular issues that are needed to be addressed. And you start to wonder, okay, where does these particular rules and guidelines and codes of conduct come from when it comes to moral values? Almost, brother, we're on the last topic. If you want to jump in, you're more than welcome to. I'm just laying it down. We're going to run for another 20 minutes, but we'll be good. But what does it mean to have ethics and to have these morals and to have these values? What does that entail and what does that mean? From these definitions, it means to be able to have some type of system to whether you know what's the difference between good and bad, to definitely know what is the expectation and the rules to be set within a group of people or between person to person, as well as your own moral code or your own ethics and what that brings to you. Yeah, we're talking about ethics right now. If you want to, you can jump in, brother. There's a whole different setups when using that word, but in its essence, what ethics really is just saying is that ethos. I'm wrong. It's not the ethos, but but more so, it's the moral values and the difference between knowing between what's right and wrong and how you go about doing that. So when it comes to that, I have a few things to, at least when we're talking about building your ethics, when I talk about different ways to help develop a code of ethics. And this is more so speaking about it too within a workplace or within a group. but we're going to have, I'm just going to state these down, and then we'll talk even more into it and just unravel it a bit more. But let's see. The brother says, I guess it's going to have a harmony between personal and collective ethics. I mean, we could definitely speak on, that difference, because there is the differences. And what we're really just speaking on is how to build these ethics if you don't have so already. So being able to have that within your own life and know, okay, this is something that, yes, that I've said for myself that no, this is a no-go for me. And these are the reasonings behind why it is. So it's being able to have a standard and to be able to have something to hold you to a higher, particular discipline when it comes to things. And for people, they don't want to, it's fine. They live by their different codes and their own ethics. But then at the same time, we're within a system that's already set there. We have laws, which in synonymous is also with ethics. There's ways that we must conduct ourselves in a way of different codes that we must end up following. So even if you don't have your own personal ones, the world got some for you. But once again, from an article, this one's a WikiHow. I just had Googled some few things. But this one, it says how to develop a code of ethics. The first thing it says is to identify key values in ethics. That's very important when it comes to building anything, is being able to have that awareness and identify how you want to build your foundation. So, if you're trying to build your own ethics and your own moral compass, whatever you want to end up calling it, besides sometimes the innate ability that we do have, you want to be able to find out, what do you value personally? What's important to you when it comes to how you either deal with things, how you deal with people, different certain situations, how you deal with yourself. What do you value? What are your VIPs? What is your values, your interests, and those purposes? What is that? What are those? So make a list of those personal values and go through them. Whether if you value family, you value being humble, humility, you value being, on time, so it means punctual. If you value loyalty, if you value love, all these different things that you will want to value that's in there, list them down. Second thing, once you do get that list and you have it all together, if you're doing this with a group of people, y'all can discuss on it. If it's with yourself, pick out those key core values, because you can have all of those if you make a whole big brainstorming list of different values. But definitely you want to always go back to key values for yourself. So pick out some of those key values that really stick out to you. After you've done that, and this is from an article, it says to review them and put it in written form. So have it there within a written form, wherever, so you can always be reminded of what that is in particular. Now you're going to say, okay, have I done this? Yes and no. I've written down a while back different values that, for me, build on my ethics and what I will and will not budge for. Because like the brother was in here before, we were speaking about how that is of building your ethics, especially in this system right now. If you don't have a firm foundation of your ethics and what you stand for morally with your values, everybody has a price. So even though you say, yo, I'm really into loyalty, so I don't literally like going against or going behind the backs of my own people or the own people within my group that I'm building with. But then somebody comes into the picture, a really big company or somebody comes in the picture, is like, well, if you go solo or you go by yourself and you go build this whole new foundation and stuff together, we're going to offer you this certain amount of money. Now that's where you have to come in and think to yourself, are you still sticking with that when it comes to if loyalty is a big thing on your list when it comes to values? So that's what I'm thinking about when it comes to certain things of that stuff in that nature. Now, when you have that, next thing on our part is to draft it out. So now get that list. Now go ahead and draft out what you want within when it comes to your values. You know, give it a title for your morals. You'd be like, for me, it can end up being A.D.V.I.S.'s, morals and values, whatever. You give it whatever you want to end up doing, because the more that you make it not only fun, memorable for yourself, it sticks. You'll be fun. You'll be surprised. There's a song that you not necessarily like, a particular song, and you literally start making fun of the song, or you start making fun of a phrase, and then you start to wonder why you remember it so well. Is because of the fact that you made it memorable. So now it's there in your mind, even if you don't want it or not. Even if you was making fun of it just to make fun of it, now it's there, stuck within your memory. Now, before I get to the next one, let's see. So when some people say, I want to be a good person, it seems it's really, I want to be loved and praised, rather than I want to be a beneficial presence. Makes me wonder about their real ethics. Beautiful. Yes, and that's a wonderful point to add. So within your own ethics is being very specific with the words that you're using. So don't necessarily always speak in terms generally. Like you can. It's to be able to give you a nice, again, foundation of this stuff is to be able to speak in terms generally. But overall, you want to get down to specifically why a core value on your whole setup of ethics. Shouts out to the folks that's coming in. My brothers, Leroy. Got my brother Sabu in here. The booth is here, y'all. Everybody, appreciate y'all. But if you're able to get specific with the value or the ethic that you have, you're able to, again, it's memorable, as well as when somebody asks you particularly, how do you feel about loyalty? How do you feel about, and the reason I'm bringing about loyalty is just something that popping into my head. What do you feel about being a person of your word, or being congruent with your behaviors? You'll say, well, the reason why I value being congruent in a person of your word is when you are a person of your word, it means and it matters more than just I'm just throwing it out there carelessly. So you're able to give it a little bit more specifics to why being congruent or being a person of your word is important to you, or it's a value and an ethic that you hold. So I appreciate that point, brother. Thank you for saying that, because it can get we can be general, but at the other times we need to be very specific when it comes to building your ethics, especially if you don't have any right now. I mean, most of us, we do. If we don't have ours, we have the systems, but then we need to be able to build our own to be able to have a firm foundation, because if you don't, you will stand for everything. You will stand for nothing, and you'll fall for everything. So being very careful of that. Yeah, it's more about comfortable self-image than actual non-harmful beneficial impacts. Yes, because once again, human nature within ourselves, first people. And again, it makes sense. We want to look within ourselves. So we want to take care of ourselves. So that's how so it can start off as a selfish thing, but for us to be able to give back to other people and give back to others, you got to be able to improve on yourself. Yo,
Hey,
what's going on, brother?
yo,
Peace and
what's up?
love to you. What's the
Peace
word?
and love. What's the word?
So what you got for me when it comes
Yeah.
to this? Because you have some
Oh,
really great
Frosty's
points.
here too. Hi, Frosty.
I think she was. I don't think she is right now.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yes. What you got for me, brother, when it comes to building your ethics? And right now I was laying down just the
Yeah, I
groundwork.
was even thinking, we were even discussing it last night, right? When we were talking about the parable of the talents,
Yeah.
and you were asking about, like, it makes you wonder about what their ethics are with these people who basically invaded and colonized this community, right, that they had built. Uh, the funny thing is, in those chapters, they were accusing the people they invaded of being squatters and thieves, even though they
Mm.
were the ones who had just invaded and colonized
Yes.
this whole community and taken it over. I'm like, that's funny. It's like, it's hilarious. It's like, do they lack self-awareness or are they just being manipulated on purpose, right?
Yes.
And gaslighting. Like,
And if those who don't know, this is the brother Kundan. Follow him, Instagram, Akashic Consultant. I'm not going to, I don't want to butcher your last name, but it's right there. Y'all can look in peace on here. If not on YouTube,
yeah,
just go and look, and I have a link to him in the YouTube. Um,
yeah,
he's speaking. If you're not too sure what he's talking about the whole. There's a series done by an author called Octavia Butler. Um, and the whole series is having to do with parables. And there's a parable of the soul and parable of the talents. It specifically was talking about a point in there that had to do with the ethical
yeah.
side of things.
But it
But
reflects the real world too, right? When the colonizers colonized different countries, they were doing the same thing. Like, I remember saying one time how, to this day, they call black people lazy and entitled, even though they were the ones who were so lazy, they
yeah,
enslaved an entire continent of people to do work that they
yeah,
didn't want to do, to do free labor. And it's like it's completely upside down, right?
yeah,
So it actually reflects the real world too, like what's happening in that story. It's like that's why it's called a parable, right? It's almost like an allegory also.
yes, definitely, yes.
Yeah.
And so now, when I was just talking on it a little bit, just building on basically being able to, when it comes to building your ethics as a person, that yes, we have
hmm
the overarching ones that's here within the system, but when building that, you have to definitely go through being able to identify all those key things, write them down, and then institute
hmm
them and make them, like your point you gave able to give me was to make them specific too, so people will know
Exactly.
specifically, okay, you say this, okay, but what do you really mean? And once you're
Right.
able to
Yeah.
compound that and put that all together, now what does that do for
Yeah,
anybody?
that's a good point. It's like rather than saying, "Oh, I'm a good person," like, okay, but what do you actually value, right? Like,
Yeah,
what do you actually believe in? Like,
exactly. So what is the whole purpose, y'all, when it comes to building your ethics? Look at ethics to your character. Yes, ethics to your character, ethics to the way that you live life. Because look, yes, I'm speaking from it as a personal thing. Yes, like this is from
hmm
individual to individual, but you can also implement this within a group because they have this for different spaces. That's why there's a such thing. There's a code of ethics or a moral,
hmm
code of conduct. Like that's what all of this is. These are different
Right.
standards
Even
and different things that
organizations
you
and
must.
companies and corporations, right? They all have
Yes,
a code of ethics, right? Uh,
exactly.
which they don't always follow. But um, I remember a story about Enron, how on their wall, on the wall of their lobby, right? They had a huge code of ethics with like 5 different values, right?
Yeah.
Which is their stated code of ethics, but they were following an unwritten code of ethics. That was the total opposite, right? That's why Enron did what it did, and finally it imploded and became bankrupt, and you know brought down a whole bunch of other people and caused harm.
Yes. Yeah. And this is where, for situations like that to happen, people start to forget their code. They forget the
hmm
ethics that they set. And a lot of that reason being too, yes, you can say after a while the burnout, but the thing is we have
hmm
to, again, another word that I say, I feel like it's a bad word because a lot of people don't like to address it. I may have times I have my own, struggles with it as well, but the word of accountability. And
Mm,
when you have those
accountability.
particular ethics and those particular codes set for yourself, you're keeping yourself accountable. So if you said, yo, I said that I'm a very loyal person. And when I mean by loyal person, that means I stick by that person, even when things get rough. And even beforehand, if such and such people say something about them that can be contrary to what I personally have as ethics, as a loyal person, I'm going to go address that with them first before me just saying, oh yeah, forget it, I'm going. And that's a part of specifically how that fits for you when it comes to being a loyal person, or how loyalty is for you. Same thing if loving is a thing for you. You just write it, you give it that specific meaning and that specific, I said Pacific, but specific feel for you to be able to feel it, and it's there. So anytime that you're out, you know you can explain it to somebody real quick, easy, as well as it's helpful. It's basically another building block to help you guide and figure yourself out when it comes to this life and this experience. It's to have that code, to have something, because if not, you're just roaming through life, just seamlessly doing things without necessarily knowing what can end up being the cause and effect of that. But if you want to learn the hard way, and you want to learn that through experience of going through the just the harshness of just doing whatever just for something to happen, you can, and that could help you build your ethics. But if you're able to take your time and really sit down with yourself, sit down with people, whoever, to really label and put it out, you're able to help yourself step with a lot more confidence, as well as to be able to help yourself structure it even better when it comes to your failures, and not being afraid of when you
Mm-hmm.
fail, that's the end all be all. So yes, when building your ethics, it is important reason for yourself, so then you know what you stand on, that you have something to stand on, as well as what you are looking for when it comes to living this life and how you express that to people. And that's why I know it's an important thing to have, is because then that's where you know whether you have that full grip on yourself and what you wanted to end up doing. Did you want to add some more to that?
Right. Yeah, and adding to that, right? It's both self accountability and accountability to others, right?
Yeah.
In an organization with a code of ethics, ideally there would be like a regular quarterly meetings where even the head of the organization would hold themselves accountable to, yeah, to the group, right?
Yeah.
For self accountability, I would imagine like maybe on a monthly, weekly, or even daily basis, you would write down like, um, yeah, like write down in your journal or whatever, like, what did I do this week or today?
Yeah.
And did I follow my own core values and my own ethics, right? What I
Hmm.
say to myself that I value, right?
Yeah.
Even if I don't even say it to others. But especially if I did say to others that I value this, then it's even more like imperative that we hold ourselves accountable, right?
Yeah.
To our stated, yeah, objectives, right? So like what are some ways you hold yourself accountable, or what are some ways you suggest others like hold themselves accountable? Like I gave the idea of their journaling, right? What are
Mm.
some other ways? Like,
Okay. I definitely agree with definitely writing things down and having them placed in front of you somewhere. Because once again, us as being people, we're also too, we learn different ways, but being very visual, if you're able to have a visual reminder of what you need to do and what you stand for in things, it gets ingrained even more. So
mm,
I definitely agree with journaling, but definitely writing it down and having it out in front of you somewhere, so then you know that you can have something to
mm,
always go back to and reference. Um,
mm,
Another one is, and my mom and family have really imbued this saying into me, is watch the company you keep, and
mm,
you are who you hang out with. So you're a reflection of that. So if you really are trying to build yourself to be specific in different, points of whether if I want to be, a lot more loving, or I want to be this and that, then you got to surround yourself with those people, those who have very
mm,
similar ethics in similar ways, because that's where also not only the accountability on yourself or writing it down, now you have the group accountability when it comes to stuff. Because now it's like, yeah, bro, I see you over there, or I see you over there, sis, and all right, you need to be able to pick it up just a little bit more, and we're here with you. We're not here to down you. We're all here just holding each other down. That's what we've created here. So being able to be around those folks that are doing that. Another thing that I can think of when it comes to being able to build your ethics, especially going back to that point, really, a lot of this is going to be a lot of written. So if people don't like writing, you can also verbally say it. Like get you a recorder, like get you a phone. I know my brothers that's up in here right now, like literally even listening to affirmations or listening to different types of things on YouTube, um, via your phone, all the other stuff, either listening to it or verbally saying is another way to help you build and reinforce whatever your ethics are. Is it's literally all those different ways that you can do that as well. If you're not a person that typically likes to write, you can listen to stuff. You can also literally speak this stuff. So then you wake up or you get up every day and you'll listen to the same particular thing that you told yourself, like, yo, today I'm gonna be building on dun 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 dun, or this is the way that I'm looking at my life when it comes to this particular value. These are the reason why I value family. This is the reason why I value this. And you have an audio of that, and you do that over and over, that also becomes repeated. So honestly, all the different ways that you can use for your senses again to be able to help build your ethics.
Yeah, I just realized a good example of that, of the company you keep, right?
Mm-hmm.
One thing about that is to surround yourself in a community of people um, who are real with each other, especially about the values that you believe in, and who interrogate, what we actually believe in,
Mm-hmm.
even if it's in indirect ways, right?
Yes.
But so, like, an example would be like, I've been noticing the the poetry community versus the white yoga community, right, here in the U.S. Like right now, India is going through a huge COVID-19 crisis right
Yeah.
now with, I think
Yes.
there's like 400,000 deaths already or something like that. Um, so which is it's basically as bad as the U.S. now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Percentage-wise, because they have a billion people, it's less than the U.S. percentage-wise, but it's still like pretty bad. So the white yoga community has done nothing at all. Like they don't even speak about it, even though they directly benefit from India because they're taking from the tradition and appropriating traditions, right,
Yeah.
from India, and they've done nothing. Whereas the poetry community, at least the ones that I'm part of, there are so many other poetry communities. At least they did like, you know, uh, a Live Aid concert on Instagram Live and raised $500 for a network of charities in India. At least they did something, right?
Yes.
And it's just an Instagram post. They actually, did this whole concert thing where they read poetry and sang songs, and like an Instagram live concert fundraising campaign, basically, right?
Yes.
So now neither community like really explicitly states their values, right? But I've
Mm-hmm.
noticed like the white yoga community always talks about, oh, let's be love and light, right?
Yeah.
Whereas the poetry community can actually talk about really dark things, right? Really emotionally vulnerable things. It's not always fluffy. And yet
Yep.
they're the ones who actually did something for India. Whereas the whole fluff bunny, love and light, let's be love and light, did nothing. So
It's because
right
we're
there
not
you see
specific.
like, huh?
Yeah, because they're
Because
not.
they're
They
not
weren't specific
specific,
on it.
right?
We love. This is one thing we like to do as people. Is we like to, as humans, we like to just throw catchy phrases and catchy sayings out to people just so that we can connect without digging deeper into what that really means. So I could just throw you a
Hmm,
Bible verse.
that's a
I
good
can just
point.
throw you a wise saying, and you're supposed to get it, and you're supposed to feel it, and without any further explanation.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. Whereas with poetry,
And
you're forced to be specific. You're forced to interrogate your own emotional landscape, right?
yes,
Yeah.
but I appreciate you sharing that. And if y'all have anything else please, y'all throw them in the comments. I seen the brothers talking about consumption being, be careful of the consumption and things of what you're seeing. Another thing I thought of in a specific way of a visual is people do dream boards. People do all those
Mm.
different type of like bigger boards that has all those things on there. So like something very visual that's colorful and catches the eye. Yes, is another great way. But did you have anything else left before I go ahead and wrap up the show for tonight?
Yeah, that's the main thing. Like that's something I thought about. Yeah, but so visuals for accountability, writing in journals, um, and I guess poetry as well, right? To really
Mm-hmm.
examine yourself. Yeah, so those three things.
Beautiful. All right, y'all. So we're
Yeah.
going to wrap up. In closing, with the current events and things, this is all information that is given to you from me. But at the end of the day, take it with a grain of salt. Make sure you look deeper into it so you can get all the full facts. I give you parts, but now you go and get the whole thing to have it for yourself. As well as when it comes to soul music, it is the essence of what the word soul is and how that connects to you, the core of us, that the chorus hits you. And it's been so influential in other various aspects of music that you got to give shots out to soul music and just that with the rhythm and blues and all of that. And lastly, when it comes to building your ethics, be able to identify those key values in those key words and phrases that stick to you, write them down, verbally say them, have it recorded somewhere, build all of those together, and then get specific with what they are. And just how the brother Kundan was saying, you can make it visual wise, you can write it poetry wise, as well as there are a multitude of different ways you can do that to build your ethics when it comes to what you value within this life and what you value in yourself and others. But other than that, y'all, I've been your brother A.D.V.I.S. This has been the brother Kundan. Thank you all for being here for another episode of What's the Word Wednesdays. It's episode 12 on season 2. Shouts out to everyone who's going to watch this later here and on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, comment, do all that beautiful stuff. And we'll see y'all next time. Peace and love, y'all.
Peace and love.